Dallas, Chicago. You get it all over the country, New York. So the winner of that actually the winner of that in 3 games. There's Tekken, Guilty Gear, and Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So the winner, there's 3 winners from each region. Each winner like guarantees themselves a spot in the finals.
So you're playing for a spot to represent your region, right? Your city, which is a cool concept, you know.
Very cool.
FGC's always had that kind of regional pride. If you look at the SoCal versus NorCal, Tekken rivalry that's gone on for ages, or Street Fighter, you know, East Coast, West, or Marvel even East Coast, West Coast. It's kind of revitalizing some of that regional pride and regional rivalry. I love it. So you weren't just competing for a tournament, right? You were competing for a spot on Team Atlanta or Team SoCal, Team where else do they have it? In Orlando, I think they had one.
Yeah, they hit pretty much every region, which is very awesome, very grassroots of them. So, you know, hopefully we get more of these in the future. But until then, make sure you come out to your locals, make sure you support your scenes. It doesn't matter what game you play. I mean, Call of Duty, there's usually, you know, when the new game comes out, there's like ETGs in New York, NJ Rods in New Jersey, all over the country. It doesn't matter what game you play. Those are super important because they enable companies to come in and give people, you know, these opportunities, right? So that is the single most, you know, important thing is the support there.
Yeah. So for someone who's never been to a local, who's been an online player, what would kind of be your, I guess, advice to them of how to not only just find where to go, but I know there's some fear there sometimes for some people on stepping off, or stepping offline, right?
Yeah.
And going to go face to face with some of these people in competition.
Yeah. So my advice, actually, if you're gonna, you know, take this very seriously, online, you know, can teach you the basics.
Yeah.
But, you know, where you're going to see the most strides is offline. You see players all the time that are grandmasters go 0-2 at tournaments. Why is that? Because they're not used to the tournament mindset. They're not used to, you know, not every matchups are played differently offline than they are online. That's a big factor. So just being out there and going to your local, it doesn't matter the competition that you're playing against. You're going to get that experience that is absolutely needed to you know, go to the next level.
Continue to level up.
Yeah.
I think that's why you see a lot of some of the best talent, not just in terms of players, but the commentators that come out of like SoCal, the Sajams, the Tasty Steves, the Bringes, Viciouses. They all come out of that Wednesday night fights tradition. You got the NLBC boys. You know, they're cooking everyone in Street Fighter, and Dragon Ball. I mean, like, and obviously they have a long lineage of going all the way back to even before they were at their current location, right? So I think that a weekly is a great place to kind of incubate talent and also get your scene together to help each other out with tech.
Definitely. So if you're one of those people that struggles, you're not, you know, in the position to really, you know, get to a local, you know, you'd be surprised. You know, I guarantee that if you look hard enough, there's people in your area that play. You would absolutely be surprised. Myself, I'm from Iowa, right? I didn't think that there was anybody in my area when I competed. So, like, I used to think that, and then I started reaching out, looking at forums. You'd be surprised. There might only be 3 or 4 people, but that's 3 or 4 more people than you had before. So it's definitely possible.
I think a good place is Reddit subreddit of Street Fighter, our Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I think they have like either a database or something where they kind of put together stuff like that. And at the same time, you know, if you don't have the ability yet to go offline, there's a lot of great online stuff going on. Whether it be the Geico tournaments that happen weekly.
Yeah, so
the our Street Fighter tournaments.
Yeah, Geico actually happens every other week. It's the Tekken weekly play-in. But other than that, there on the Reddit Street Fighter, they do have a weekly tournament. A lot of people do use it as their local. Now, is it offline? No, it is an online tournament. But it is a good entry-level tournament to get your feet wet, I would say. There's a lot of, you know, different skilled players in there. You know, you don't have to worry about getting your butt kicked first round, really. You know, there's a good chance that you're going to be playing people at your skill level, which is very important, you know.
So, okay, so let's go back to Red Bull Conquest. So,
Sure.
who, for those who didn't watch, do you want to give a little recap of what went down?
Yeah, for the Atlanta region, of course, for Street Fighter, we had our boy Neon. He took that.
Yes.
He has been playing extremely well.
Colleen
player, top 8 at final round this year. He's always, you know, always around. He's been playing really well at the tournaments he does go to this year. So shout out to him, man. He always, you know, puts on a show. And then for Tekken, we had Spirojin.
Spirojin currently living in Tennessee, so
Yeah.
some of the Tennessee boys came down. Atlanta's obviously a very strong Tekken scene, always has been. So we had Anakin out there, speed kicks, the
Yeah.
ATL Koreans.
It's
you had
really-
Poke Shop. You had Shola, a bunch of guys.
Shout out to those guys, man. That it really made it, very interesting to watch the event. In person, they're always, very animated. Poke Chop with his expressions, it really is. Red Bull Conquest really is, it embodies to me what the FGC is. It's very exciting to watch as not only a spectator, but, as a person in my position. It makes you really, appreciate what Red Bull has done.
You had Vicious and Persia on
Yeah,
commentary.
Vicious and Persia definitely held
from
it
the
down.
crowd though, which was interesting.
Yeah, they were on the house mics, so they were walking around, like
interacting with
the crowd, having people, really, making it a good time, making people feel like they belong there, and everybody does belong there. That's the thing, right? So it's really important for them to keep including people, which they did, and it's very, very cool of them.
And I think that's something about FGC locals and FGC in general that we see some other games kind of struggling with later on in their lifespan sometimes, especially big esports, with getting new players in, right?
Yeah.
That's something FGC's never really had a problem with. We've always been like very good at bringing in new players, and you might get your butt kicked, you might get 0-2'd, but everyone will make sure to show you the ropes and make sure that you don't continue to go 0-2, or show you more stuff along the way, right?
Yeah. There's always stuff to learn, man. I'm sure, you walk up to any pro player, and if you're interested in learning, they'll teach you. That's been my experience. I've always had questions.
Yeah.
Just from my perspective, I don't compete, but I really, want to understand the game, so, I can have like conversations with our players and stuff like that. So everybody's always been super open. It doesn't matter what question you have. Don't be afraid to ask. People are always there to help you. That's one of the main things I appreciate about the FGC myself. Coming from other scenes, you don't really always get that. So,
So we have locally here, which is, like we said, HQ's in Atlanta. We have Gwinnett Brawl.
Yes.
So we want to give a shout out to those guys over there.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody involved at Gwinnett Brawl.
Yeah, they run an awesome event. Slash GB Dojo on Twitter and Twitch.
Yep.
It's run every
Thursday night at 8 p.m. If you don't know where it's at, Drew will link it right now in the chat. You just go to the main page, and the address should be on there. So if you're in the Atlanta area, we actually can hook you up with that. GB Dojo. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Starts right on time every week. You can register. You can pre-reg online, or you can reg at the door.
Streamed as well.
Yep.
Hunter, you did commentary for the first
time. Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, commentary for the first time. I actually really enjoyed it. So shout out to them for letting me on the mic, first of all. It was really fun. You get to watch the game from a different perspective. You get to actually, I know this is the name of the podcast. We get to deep dive into the game, because, you have to first see it on the screen, and then, analyze it and then talk. So it was really a different experience, but it was very good for me because it's helping me.
So you're doing it with Kari Safari. Shout outs to Kari Safari.
Yeah, Kari. Shout out to Kari.
Big hunter.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun on the mic with Kari. He really helped me along. I'm really trying to learn the game more, so that really helped me.
That was for Street Fighter?
Yeah, that's for Street Fighter. It sure was. So that was really fun. And then obviously, on the East Coast, you got NLBC. Shout out to Arturo and Spooky and everybody involved there.
Big shout out.
Henry, the owner of NLBC. That's the biggest, weekly we have here. So if you're in America, so if you are on the East Coast, and especially New York, that is there.
Even if you're just tourist traveling and you happen to be there on a Wednesday and you like fighting games, I think it's like
it's really cool
pilgrimage you have to make.
It's really cool, atmosphere. I've never been there, but
hey,
I hear stories.
For the host, Tendo, by the way.
Yeah, hear stories all the time, and it's like an arcade, and then you get stations everywhere, and it's really cool. So it's a very good experience. Even if you're not going to compete, I would encourage stopping by.
And the proof is in the pudding in terms of their results.
Yeah, for sure. You got so many players that come out of New York. It's just year after year after year. There's already established players. It seems like there's new players every year coming out of New York that make damage. I mean, look at Hook Gang God this year. He's not. I don't know if he's from New York. To Kill Sage.
I mean, they all cut their teeth there.
Yeah, they're all NLBC boys. So if you look at that,
Smug, Little Evil,
yeah,
Shine. We can go on and on, right?
But the main thing is, right, at these locals, it's iron sharpens iron, and if you want to become a piece of iron, you have to put yourself with them. So
you gotta put yourself in the fire.
Yeah, you gotta put yourself in the fire. You gotta burn yourself a little bit. So that's the main point of it, right?
And out west, we've got Wednesday Night Fights.
Yes.
at Esports Arena OC, also at Esports Arena Oakland. That's recently started up. Obviously, they've long-standing weekly there. Happens like right after NLBC, so you can catch both technically if you're watching. That's another thing. If you're in the LA area, it's a pretty awesome area. It's right in Santa Ana. Just take a drive down there, check it out. And if you want to, enter a game there, they're super cool about it. Shout outs to Chelsea. She runs like a lot of the brackets. Shout outs to Valle, of course, Uncle Valle. We actually have a partnership with him right now.
Shout out to Jimmy. Of course.
Yeah, Jimmy's actually a big part of the Conquest too, which a lot of people don't know. And they have SCR going on this weekend. So
this weekend, yeah.
So a lot of big stuff going on there.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good Street Fighter. It's Street Fighter premiere, of course. So there's gonna be a lot of good Street Fighter talent there. If you're interested in Street Fighter, I encourage always to watch these events at least. There's a lot you can pick up from their gameplay. You can think that you know all the moves, right? Until you watch a pro, they always have something that you didn't think was possible. It's actually possible. So that's one of the best ways to learn. Actually, is to watch. You play, watch, play, watch. You gotta have a good mixture between them.
And both. I want to give also a shout out in that area to Super Arcade.
Yeah.
Watson and the crew. They run stuff pretty much every day of the week, and they run stuff until closing time is basically until the last person wants to leave. So also check out if you're in the area, make the drive out there. That's another important landmark of the FGC right now. And then in Japan, you've got
Fighting Tuesdays with Giona and Majin.
Obama at Red Bull Sphere. I know our player UYU has been getting a lot of good training out there. They run Dragon Ball and Tekken every Tuesday. Looks like a great time. I know Jeannie's been out there. Next time we're in Tokyo, hopefully we.
I would love to stop by sometime. And then the most important part, which everybody seems to be training for, well, not the most important thing in the FGC right now, I think, is Tekken Season 2 that just dropped.
Season 2.
Yes, Season 2. Lots of big changes going on. That's going to be – this is a lot – the reason why we're bringing up the locals is because this is a lot of time when it's the best time to go. There's big changes coming to Tekken. Go to your local, train with the people, learn the meta, get yourself involved is the main thing. Always stay involved. If you want to take this seriously, you can't – I hate to say, but you can't just stay in your living room, right, or your bedroom. You have to be going out there, be actively involved in the community.
Yeah, eventually you have to. I mean, a lot of people ask us a lot of times about getting sponsored and stuff. Yeah. And it's a lot easier if I've seen you before. And I know that's hard if you can't get yourself out to the tournament. But if you have a weekly that is in your area and you're not going out to it, it's a little bit harder to make that case sometimes. I mean, I understand everyone's got responsibilities, jobs, and all that, but I would do your best to try and make it out to your weeklies, especially if you want this to be something more than just a hobby. If you want this to be not just, a career, if you want to be a sponsored player, if you want to get out on the tour, that's the first stop of it. But let's talk about Season 2 a little bit. I mean, sure. I know that we personally haven't had that much time with it, but it's great to see what it's kind of done with the scene. I think it's Tekken was already in a great place. Yeah. But it's really invigorated a lot of content creators, pro players. It's going to be really interesting. This weekend will be the first tournament on the new patch. Yeah. Correct? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of new things, right? So we don't currently know yet what the meta is going to be. No, we don't quite know. The only thing, the best way to tell really is to watch streams. By the way, that is also right now, if you're looking to get into streaming, which is another, important asset of building your brand, right now, if you're a good Tekken player, I would suggest streaming Season 2, especially if you're looking into, getting some new tech, showing you, this is good if you have new tech to show it off. I always suggest streaming. It's a very important part, but during parts like this, I know you're competing with a lot of different streamers, but there are times during the day, if you find the right time that you can, catch a host or get on when nobody else is on, you can really start building yourself right here. While the game's really popping. You play a character that not a lot of people play.
Definitely.
And you have that character specialty, right? Yeah. There's people who are looking for that content. I play Lily, and so I play a few characters, but I play Lily, and there's not a lot of Lily streamers out there. So if I were to see one, and you had 10 views or less, I would definitely be watching your stream. So what's up with chat? Hey, Gucci Cone.
What's up, Parker? What's up? 200 IQ.
Parker, what's up? Tekken streamers have a great opportunity right now. We need a Master Raven streamer. There is I know Rick Steezy.
Rick Steezy does play some Raven on
I know
stream.
that so does Peeling, but right now he's really playing a lot of Lay.
Wow, thank you for the sub, Parker. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh wow!
Shout out to the Twitch Prime.
Thank you for the Twitch Prime,
Parker.
And hey Jasmine, how's it going? Yep. So right now, I mean, I think we could put together a list of like Tekken streamers. Maybe we'll tweet it out, but if you just go to the Tekken page right now, it's just awesome to see on Twitch the amount of people streaming, the variety of characters being played. Everyone's having fun with the game. People playing like not just their mains, but going and playing new characters, whether it be Anna and Lei, or playing characters they didn't usually play, who now they have new reasons to play because A, if you're a competitor, you have to learn the matchup again.
Yeah.
And B, you might have your main no longer be viable.
Yeah, viable. If it gets nerfed, yeah.
I was watching and speaking to Lohai, and he was saying how Shaheen is unfortunately in his eyes.
He's been streaming Lars though, so we got Lars high.
Dead. So he was playing a lot of Lars and Law. Law's a character I used to like play quite a bit of. So it's an exciting time to see who's gonna bring out what new main or what new character.
Yeah.
So SCR this weekend is gonna be a lot of fun. I think SCR is also a tournament that originally, looking at the brackets, had less international competition. But I think there's some, like, it's not breaking news, but there's a picture posted today from the airport in Korea that Dimeback posted with the Echo Fox boys.
With the Echo Fox boys. So that's going to be interesting. There's not, it is a Tekken ranking event, but it also, on the other hand, is the first event of season 2 for the tour. So, I mean, at first I was like, maybe players won't be showing up because they want to practice more and don't really want to take their chances at a ranking. But then I'm thinking like, oh, this change is happening so late in the season that, we're going to see a lot of players decide to come last minute because of the fact that it's late in the season. They need to get tournament experience for finals. So you're going to see like...
They need tournament experience for finals at the top end.
At the top end.
There's still people fighting for the bottom
for sure.
spots.
For sure. So they're going to be wanting to use these new changes to propel them to get into positions that they can get into the finals. So, SCR is a very important event. Street Fighter Premier, first event for Season 2 for Tekken. Soul Calibur is going to be there. It's a Dragon Ball Radar event. Echo Fox is going. They will be there.
Dimeback.
At least that's what it appears. That is what it appears from the picture at the airport. So
which is very interesting because they weren't registered on the brackets. So let me just pull this up.
Yeah.
I'll put it in chat.
Yeah, Drew will link that in chat. What are your thoughts, Drew, on Negan being added to Tekken? What do you think? It's a big deal, right?
It's awesome.
It's a very big deal. I'll ask you what you think first, and then we can talk about that for a little bit, because that is a huge like thing to come to Tekken. Walking Dead times Tekken collab is
so
mind-blowing.
I think it was important for them to bring back legacy characters in this season. I think that's something that a lot of the Tekken community wanted, and I think all the DLC characters have been great. I'm gonna count Akuma in this, even though he's not really, but like Akuma, Eliza, Geese. I think they did such a good job of bringing like Akuma to Tekken, like a Street Fighter character to Tekken, and Eliza's similar in a way. And they did such a good job with Geese, especially like that's like KOF in Tekken. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Noctis was really cool too, and Noctis has even gotten stronger. I think that with the DLC that they were planning for season 2, it was very important to bring back some old favorites and kind of juice them up for JDCR confirmed that he's going.
Wow.
To kind of make them a Tekken 7 version. So yesterday in the Geico play-in, they were kind of it was Sammy Fish and Rip were talking about how Lei players have to get used to the Tekken 7 version of Lei.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, obviously, right? And the same goes for Anna and whoever the next 3 that they bring in are going to be. I think it's always exciting to get some of those people who haven't had their main to get their main back.
Of course. Look at it.
And also, Suiken has his main back. That's awesome, right? A lot of people...
Peeling Trey used to play a little bit of Lei back.
Yeah. But also to see who might... maybe they had a main before that, like... either they weren't super happy with, or they realized that this new character is like, you know, a better fit for them. That's really exciting to see. But with Negan, I think that follows in the tradition of your characters like your Noctises and your Geese and stuff. The thing is that there's no Walking Dead fighting game, right?
Yeah, so I think...
What is his style going to be like?
It's going to be crazy. I think that adding Negan in general is a really good activation to get, you know, new players to the game. You know, I can imagine, you know, his rage art's going to be with the bat. That's what I can just imagine, you know. It has to be.
If it's not a recreation of like, spoiler alert, but I mean, this is way in the past. If it's not a recreation of him taking the bat to Glenn in some way.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Minus like how brutal it gets. So obviously you can't show it all, but like, you know, Dragunov and Miguel have that rage art where it like is from a first person view.
It's got to be that.
It's got to be that. I hope. I wonder if his bat's gonna be something that he uses like Yoshimitsu's sword, or if it will just be something that maybe is only used for some attacks.
Yeah.
But playstyle aside, I know they have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, the actor from The Walking Dead, doing the voice. That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
He actually, Harada actually announced that, like leaked that in Aru's chat.
Oh wow!
One of our streamers, twitch.tv/Aru. ARU.
3 U's.
It's really big because Walking Dead is a huge property. It's the largest independent comic property ever.
That I know, yeah.
Ever.
That I know.
And it used, I don't know if it still holds a spot, but it used to be like the highest rated cable TV show ever as well. So you get those two things together, and you're going to be bringing people in because there's not really, besides the Telltale games, like a Walking Dead game, right?
Yeah.
I think you're going to bring people in. And I always want to bring new people into fighting games.
That's always the goal, man.
Especially Tekken.
Yeah.
And if Negan's the way in, I think that'll be awesome. Plus, I think Negan is just such a good character design.
Yeah.
So badass. I can't wait to see what his like taunt is gonna be, what his moves are gonna be, the animations and all that.
Yeah. It's all gonna be very interesting, man. Like,
and the cross promotion too is gonna be interesting to see how they do that. Walking Dead's gonna be coming back, obviously, probably around the same time. But yeah, Negan's probably further down the road, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while, but all the changes we talked about before that are still intact. Is, you know, I think it's gonna be coming to the arcades before Master Cup, correct?
Sorry, who? Negan?
No, the rest of the season 2 changes.
I believe so.
Awesome.
I mean, we don't know that for sure, but that's kind of what people are
saying. Anyways, we could talk about Master Cup.
We should.
That's the other big event coming up besides, you know, SCR for Tekken. You know, it still is considered one of the biggest events of the year for Tekken, but it was especially considered that before the tour came around.
Yeah.
It's a 5v5 team tournament on arcade cabinets in Japan. So, you know, there's a lot of naturally good competition there. Plus, now you throw in some American teams, some Korean teams. You know, we go back to that region rivalries that we're talking about. You get a Korean team versus a Japanese team. It's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it's some cool stuff. You'll see teams that they'll all play the same character, like all bears or all lings or something like that. You'll see teams that are made up of, you know, not just pro teams. So like it's not just pro teams actually. That's probably the more of a rarity.
Yeah.
Pro teams. But it's 5v5. It's elimination style or arcade elimination style, right? So you have 5 people. If you beat one person on the other team, then you stay on and you play their second person on that team.
Yeah.
And if you beat them, you play the third, and so on and so forth, right? So the term OCV, one character victory, can really come into play there. We saw one last year actually with
Kagemaru, yes. So that's all, you know, it's just a super sick environment for Tekken, and I think that, you know, it's one of the events, one of the first events I remember watching for Tekken actually, a bunch of years ago. So, you know, I always look forward to watching it every year, but, you know, the whole community really bonds over this.
Yeah, and we actually have a team going out.
Yeah, we do have a team going out.
So
we got Kudons, UYU, John Ding, Kokoma, and Rip.
Yeah. So we've got you know, someone from Japan, from Korea,
America.
Yeah, Kudons, UYU, John Ding, Kokoma, and Rip.
So we will have a team there. There you go.
Right there.
Can't really see it too well, but they got their cute little characters next to them.
So that's going to be exciting. The other exciting thing is that you get to see, just like with EVO Japan, you get to see players who are arcade players.
Yes.
Or who don't travel.
Yeah, so that's always what's great. You saw a lot of it at Tokyo Tekken Masters. Players that, you don't see too often, but they play in the arcades. They grind just like every other player, but in the arcades. That atmosphere, it goes back to the iron sharpens iron mentality that we were talking about earlier. You really see some, like, really, really, really good players from Japan during these tournaments.
Some Master Cup or, like, some of the tournaments they have for, like, Cooperation Cup, stuff like that for Street Fighter. I think that it's going to be really exciting to see, Tekken's only gotten bigger internationally, but for people to, like, last year's Master Cup was so hype.
It's so hype every year.
It's so hype every year. So we're sending out a team, and I'm always excited to watch those. Those are probably my favorite events of the year outside of, like, EVO or, like, finals.
Combo Breaker finals.
Combo Breaker.
Besides the ones on the tour.
It's something special, though. It's, like, not 1v1.
Yeah. You get, like, that team, like, it's not very often in fighting games where you get that team feel, but in events like Master Cup, you really get that team feel. You'll see, like, all the teammates next to them coaching them up and having a good time, and you don't get to see that too often. I think that's one of the main factors of why it is so special to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, that is coming up
October 20th.
October 20th. So yeah, keep your eye out for that. That's gonna be.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Yeah.
And it's at a time before finals, so it's like I think it'll be a time where people get to have a lot of fun, and still high level competition, but kind of a change up from the grind of the Tekken World Tour.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hitting the point, like we said earlier when we were talking about SCR, hitting the point where people really have to start getting ready for finals, whether that be making the cut or just really kind of starting to
getting that practice in, right?
Yeah.
It's really grind time right now. Trying to scrap up them points. It's really important.
So it's almost like it's almost like an all-star game.
Yeah.
Break in between the middle of the season, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's Tekken. That's Tekken. Now we're gonna be moving on to what everybody's talking about. I see it all the time on my Twitter timeline. So, we're going to touch on it a little bit here. We're going to talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Blackout. It's their Battle Royale version of their game, I guess, their edition. I've played it. My first overall impressions are, I really like it. It's like it kind of reminds me a lot of PUBG, but it's obviously on console right now, but there is going to be obviously Blizzard Net. So it's got a lot of, like, similar attributes, I would say. And what's really important about that is, my opinion, is Call of Duty has, like, a really strong casual fan base, right? And I think that they're really going to gravitate towards this BR mode. Besides that, obviously they have multiplayer, zombies and stuff, but they really incorporated the hottest genre right now into their game, which is very big in terms of, like, casual gaming. Now, switching off, like, in terms of what that means competitively, I don't think it's going to be anything competitively personally. The Pro League's always going to be on, their platform, whether it be 4v4, 5v5. We'll touch on that later. It's going to be that. But I think that they can do some really cool activations with Blackout. So, I think that, at these tournaments, pro teams playing Blackout against other pro teams would be really cool. It's a really cool activation. You can play against fans that way, and, it's like a fair – it's not just like fighting them on a map. It's an open world type of situation where it's not like, oh, man, I'm going to lose no matter what. You actually – in Blackout, you have a chance.
So
right?
What do you think about it? So you've played Fortnite. You've played PUBG, H1, all these games across the way, right?
Yeah.
I guess is this the first time a AAA publisher is putting out a Battle Royale game?
I think so. To my
I mean, Epic, I guess.
Yeah,
consider to be.
But okay, so it is the first time that a company with the casual fan base the size of Call of Duty,
the budget,
has there have been multiple producers or game developers that have put it out, but I think this is the first time, But if I am wrong, you can correct me. But I do know for the fact.
Parker says yes. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
pretty sure it is. Okay, unless you count high res AAA. Okay, yeah, that's cool. So it is the first time, and that's important because of the casual fan base. It's very important. You know, we're just like Tekken, what we talked about earlier. It's always important to get new people to play the game. And if you look at like Fortnite streamers right now that didn't formerly play COD on stream, they're playing Blackout. And all it takes is you to quit a Blackout game, go look at your main menu, and be like, I want to try multiplayer. Guess what? They like the game. You got a new multiplayer player.
Right. I think it's an important thing, right? To capture people. Like Fortnite, I think people might not remember this was originally it still has a PvE mode, right?
Yeah.
So I think when I bought that game first, I tried the PvE mode.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one's playing this. Why are we talking about it? And I realized that it was actually the other mode that people were talking about. But do you think so? I'm interested to see right now, like, because it's the beta part of the beta that's open, that's what everyone's playing. Do you think that there will be kind of two separate scenes emerging where it's like people who play Black Ops 4 COD Blackout and they're like Blackout players, and then there's like other types of players?
My thought is that the casual fan base will gravitate towards. I'm not going to say that they'll only play Blackout, but I think that they'll play Blackout more than a competitive player would. Competitive players will play it, but they'll always want to stick to like their basics, right? Like you don't see like you don't really see them like gravitate much towards out of like they'll play ranks play and stuff like that, but you don't really see them playing zombies or anything like that too often. They're going to stick to like what they compete in, right? But the casual fan base, I could really see them gravitating towards Blackout a lot more. So when the game comes out, it could create two separate communities in a way, but I don't think it's going to be extreme. I think they're going to still play both. The casual player's still going to play public matches, and they're also going to play Blackout, which I think is also very important.
So yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this. Like usually, if you look at Twitch's top games, it's always Fortnite number one. Black Ops was like way ahead.
Yeah, so
it was like 3 times. I think it was like 3 times the amount of people watching. Black Ops
yeah, there was like 340 something thousand people watching Black Ops, and that's quite a bit more than Fortnite at the time. But I really think it's just because of the fact that I don't think it'll always be like that. We've learned in the past that BRs are kind of interchangeable at the top level.
It's volatile.
Yeah. You can only stay at the top for so long.
A lot of that depends on the big streamers too.
Yeah,
your Dr. Disrespects.
The top 5% really like gravitate. If they want to play Blackout, guess what's gonna be the number one game? It's gonna be Blackout.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I can't really tell you how long it's gonna be at the top. It's not really something that's even measurable right now. But I do know that it does have a good chance to sustain itself once it's gonna stay. It's gonna be up here, but it is gonna come down. Like, of course it is. Like, it's a new game, so it's gonna come down a little bit. But I do think that it has a really good chance of like sustaining itself because of the casual fan base, which I keep referring back to.
But I think what's important or interesting there is that what you'll get a lot of new eyeballs on Call of Duty, right? And Call of Duty streams. I think it will. Do you think so? I haven't played it enough. I just watched you play it.
Yeah.
Will it show them enough of how the mechanics of the game work so that when there is a CWL match, that might get some new fans for that? Or is it gonna be the case where they're gonna have to still be trained to watch that?
They're still gonna have to be trained to watch that. Blackout can teach you gun mechanics, but that's really about it. There's so many other aspects of being a professional or a competitive player. You got to know the actual maps that the competitive games are played on, the modes, the spawns, the bomb sites, player composition, like your roles, all that good stuff. You don't get that in Blackout. So there's like those other components that are missing. You can get a good idea of how to shoot your gun straight from playing Blackout, but that's the only transferable skill, really.
But in terms of viewers, right? Because I think there's obviously a large portion of people who play Fortnite and watch like Ninja streams also play Fortnite, but I don't know if the same is true for like Call of Duty, right? At the pro level, watching the pro levels and then also playing, or do you think that it is also? Sorry, how do I phrase that? So if Blackout becomes kind of to the Fortnite level of like huge stream numbers, right? 50,000 and plus. How can you best transition those people? Because I think that would be the optimal.
I think the best way
transition them into being fans of Call of Duty as a whole, and then eventually Call of Duty
as an esport.
Yeah, CWL.
I think that's also why I brought up the activations with the pro players playing Blackout at like immediately, right? I think that having Blackout tournaments is very important, and I think that like finding a way to incorporate the pro players with the casual audience that plays Blackout is very important. Like to be able to connect with those new players, to have the players like that at the top connecting, and they can play with them and then be like, oh, this guy is really good. How do I do that? So they can find his channel. That's how I figured out about competitive COD, right?
I would hope is that some of the top COD pros put a little time into Blackout to get some fans that way too.
Yeah, 100%.
And then those fans will follow them to the pro league. I think maybe. Let's answer a few questions.
So Gazer, shout out to Gazer. Thank you for coming into the chat, bro. I think if Blackout came out sooner, then it could compete very closely with Fortnite. I agree with that. So the thing with Fortnite, as you know, John, is that it's been being updated constantly. There's always Fortnite updates.
It's seasons, right?
And it's seasons, so that's a very good point. Like the way their mechanics are built with like the building and stuff, and the way your inventory works, they can always be innovative. They're not ever gonna. I hate to say that, but like they're not ever gonna like. It's gonna be hard to run out of ideas. Basically, you can kind of keep altering the game just because of the base of how the game's built. With COD,
it's like a sandbox.
With COD, the way, it's just beta right now, but the way it's set up, I don't know how much they can update it. I guess you could say without changing the entire game, without changing the core.
Yeah.
So that's the point John's making. I agree with that for sure.
Black Subaki says, where do you think competitive part of the new COD will focus on? Blackout or the known team deathmatch and whatnot?
So the focus will always be on COD World League, which is your standard hard point search and destroy, capture the flag, best of 5 series. So it's not necessarily gonna be it's not gonna be a TDM ladder. They're gonna stick to their normal game modes for this.
But could you see them putting some esports push and money into maybe doing a little
for sure
invitational stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that's very good for activating invitationals like that. I think that it's very important to have those with like your top influencers for your game.
Streamers plus pros, yeah.
You get a mixture
at TwitchCon for H1Z1.
Yeah, exactly.
They had pros and streamers and all that. Okay, let's see. I think this is important. Daddy Parker says, I still see Fortnite being on top because it's free to play.
I agree with that. So
it's a huge thing. And the
free to play,
right?
Yeah, free to play is a very big point to bring up. The player base for Fortnite's always going to be bigger, but does that always correlate into stream numbers? I'm not sure. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There's been games that are free to play that don't really see the success that you'd expect on Twitch. There's not always a direct correlation between those, is what I'm trying to say.
And you gotta be making money.
So it is a very big factor in why Fortnite will probably stay on tops in terms of BR. But just because COD isn't free to play doesn't mean that its stream numbers won't be as high.
What do you know what I mean? This? What if they released a version where it was like Blackout was free to play, and to get the rest of the game, you had to.
Well, I think that's an interesting point, but I don't know
if they would do it.
Because when the game's launched, right? I don't know how many of the top streamers are gonna stream mainly Blackout. I think that the top streamers are gonna be playing League play. They're gonna be playing because the top streamers also happen to be the pro players, right?
Top COD streamers.
Streamers.
What about your Summits, your Shrouds, your Ninjas, your Dr. Disrespects? Probably playing Blackout, right?
Yeah, If you made it free to play, and if they can keep, like I talked about earlier, updating it, I really think that it can compete.
Okay, Daddy Parker says a lot of people will pay that $60, but I don't think they'll be able to catch the popularity.
Yeah.
Especially with the decline of viewership in COD over the years.
So the fact that there's not been there's not really been a decline in viewership. There hasn't been a growth in viewership either. So that's the answer to that question. And I think that, that's the decline in COD, competitive viewership, second of all, I don't think it correlates to Blackout viewership, is what the other point I'm trying to make. These streamers, they might stream Blackout, but if they decide to not stream Blackout, then COD's going to be back where it was, right? With the same viewership, people only watching pro players type of thing.
Yeah.
But if they can update Blackout like John was just talking about, you know, I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible for a game to overtake Fortnite. I really don't.
BMarsh08 says, I can see Blackout being a streamer showcase at events to help promote COD and CWO as a whole. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. Shout out to Ben for coming in here. I agree. I think that if it's free to play, a lot, you'll see COD as an overall game on Twitch get more viewers. But does that always correlate to events getting more viewership? I don't think it does. It's important to see COD at the top of the Twitch thing. It's really cool to see, but I'm not convinced that that's gonna correlate to competitive games. They have to make that connection, right? They have to do those invitations that Ben was talking about to like activate the community. I think that's the answer. I don't want this to become a discussion on whether it'll kill Fortnite or not, because I don't think that's the discussion we should be having. I think that it's two different games, right? They're under the same genre, but they can have two different purposes. Like PUBG is the competitive aspect of it. Fortnite is really casual, and I really think Blackout's very casual. But because of the fact that it's a COD game, it's going to be more based on consoles. So this is going to be your console like casual game. There's Fortnite like casuals, but like on console, and it's throughout all the platforms. But I really think that like the difference in communities between COD and the Fortnite community, it's not about killing the other game. It's about coexisting. I think that they can coexist and be successful.
I like what Gazer said here. Big thing is getting the COD YouTubers back into the game. COD lost a lot of viewership when the YouTube scene died. Pros also need to be very active on YouTube. Do you want to, for people who aren't as familiar, like I'm semi-familiar, right?
Yeah.
With like Optic back in the day and all that. What was the COD YouTube scene, and what did it mean to the community, and how has it changed?
So the main thing, like back in the day, you had like, I know there's some of these people still upload, but it's lost a lot of traction. You had like, like the T Martins of the world, Wings Redemption, even the Optic Boys, Scump, Nade Shot. Those guys don't upload anymore, and the reason for that, there's obvious reasons with that with the YouTube platform, but like, the main reason is the trajectory of Twitch. Like people nowadays are more interested in watching somebody play live than watching them play on YouTube, right? I think YouTube tried with the YouTube gaming. It's a very good platform,
so
but
was it like highlight reel? Because I've seen really cool edited highlight video packages, like trick shot, snipe stuff. Was it that, or was it also like actual gameplay?
What's up?
Long form gameplay.
It was both. So sometimes you'd see like the pro players upload like their scrim practice, and they would do like a voiceover, like analyzing the maps and stuff. It depends on there was sniping.
Right?
So back in there was the same dilemma when the sniping community was big. Does it correlate to viewership for competitive? It used to not, right? It used to not, like when it first came out. But then you saw teams like FaZe and like all those other sniping teams, Optic, start picking up sniping teams and like doing activations with their own competitive team. Then you can see a little bit of growth because their teams are like, there's the sniping YouTubers like, oh wow, there's esports competitive. What's that? They'll check out the YouTube channel. So it was very accessible for them to do that through YouTube. I think that's the connection that's missing.
So could you see that happening again? Some people in chat are talking about this. Gazer says orgs needs to pick up streamers.
Yep.
Black Tsubaki says Fortnite also is cross-platform. Okay. And Daddy Parker says Optic no doubt would pick up a Blackout team.
So let's go back up. I want to answer a couple questions up top here. Orgs need to pick up streamers. I agree, but there also needs to be streamers that are willing to stream the game that orgs can pick up. I agree with that. That's a very good point because with these like casual streamers, you can pick them up and you can do different activations with your team that can cross-pollinate their fans. I think that's really important. Fortnite is cross-platform. Call of Duty Blackouts 4 is cross-platform as well. You can download it on BlizzNet. Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's cross-platform, but you can play it on multiple platforms. So there you go. That's not really the same definition, but you can buy it now on BlizzNet.
Optic no doubt will pick up a Blackout team.
If it was possible, if it's a competitive thing, yeah. If it's a stream, yeah. Optic will if there's people that are streaming active Blackout, I could see it.
Yeah, I think TSM as well. TSM scoops up a lot of VR streamers real fast.
Yeah.
Blackout streamers. Gazer says blackout streamers will follow certain players and then follow their teams.
Mm-hmm.
Which correlates to watching those teams compete, building rivalry between fans and such. That's true. So like TSM with their plan, they don't just have their pro team, right?
Yeah.
For especially for PUBG, they got a bunch of like streamers that I used to watch just as I was fans of like PUBG streamers.
Yeah.
And now they're all TSM. And so if I were to watch, like if I was a brand new person and I was watching these streamers, I was fans of them. I'm thinking of like Vis and Visions and these guys. I would then probably in the pro circuit of PUBG coming around, I would probably follow TSM.
Of course.
I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that does make sense.
It does 100% make sense.
So let's see. I love what certain orgs did with Fortnite, just picking up personalities that go to showcase events, and then fans watch and follow their org and watch pros.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, John, I agree. Yep.
Most top orgs are doing that.
Fnatic used to do the same with COD and Halo. COD and Halo.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sure they pick up this as well.
That'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
You know, there's going to be a lot more teams. You know, you saw 100 Thieves come in already. Pick up Kenny, Octane, Pharaoh. You know, 100 Thieves is in. You're going to see a lot more teams. I think that, you know, another good aspect to this is the fact that it's a Treyarch game. I think people generally, you know, like to watch Treyarch games and like to play Treyarch games more than the alternative. You know, me personally, I like all the games, but, you know, from a community feedback perspective, you know, it's really, at the end of the day, the most successful games are Treyarch Vonderhaar made games. They've really, you know, they came out with League Play during Black Ops 2, and since then, you know, their games, like, they're always very compatible with the competitive scene and always being innovative. So it would not surprise me to see Activision and Treyarch like come together and, you know, really figure out a way to take this new player base with Blackout and put it together, because they've always been super innovative with new stuff. I think that's also a big thing that we should remember when thinking about Black Ops 4.
So I think, you know, that can kind of tie back into our whole discussion. I mean, with season 2 of, and with Negan, right, in Tekken, that's bringing in a new base, a new, I don't want to call them casual necessarily, but like a new, well, they're not pros yet, right? Not pro players yet. Fan base. And how do you tie in grabbing a whole new bunch of players or getting a whole bunch of people on release date and keeping them around, not only to play the game online and play competitively, but then to tune into the esport? Like, that conversion is a hard thing.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Thing to do.
It comes down, in my opinion, like, it comes down to the orgs and the people that support the scene as a whole to make that connection. We, as an organization and like other organizations, like across, you know, like across all different genres, can, you know, really like have the power to make these connections through like organizational content.
Yeah.
You know, Activision they can put the game out there, but it's up to the people that play the game and the player base to take it from there. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So I think it's a mixture of everything we've talked about and what's going to be the answer to that question. But I don't want to spend all the time on Blackout, because I want to talk about an even more interesting, to me, conversation about the next year of Call of Duty competitively.
Okay. Is
it going to be 4v4 or 5v5? I'm personally not going to take a stance on this because I really want to see this explored more. And I do think that there's pros and cons to both. So I'm not going to take a stance because, in other words, I don't have one quite yet.
Okay.
But I want to discuss it on stream here.
For someone who may be watching from our FGC fan base who just doesn't know, what has been the traditional Call of Duty competitive?
Yeah, so
format.
The traditional format it's been 4v4 in its entirety at the CWO level. Obviously, there's 2v2s and 3v3s, tournaments, 1v1s online that you can play in. But at its core, COD World League has always been 4v4. So that's where it's always been. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are making an argument that it's because of the way the fan base or like the player base is. You know, there's kind of a drop off, right, from pro players to amateur players to top amateurs to like low amateur. You know, so it's going to be, the main argument right now is is there enough top amateur players to make this 5v5 and have a deep amateur scene at the same time? And that's one of the issues. The second one is all these orgs at the top, tier 1 orgs, you want to get the best 5 players possible. So if you're changing it this late, especially like this late going into the game, like this part of the year, it's going to turn into a bidding war, right? And it's really only to get the 5th player. So it's going to be really deep at the top. The top like 5 teams are going to be really deep. But then it's going to be a clear drop off because like I don't really know how deep the amateur scene can go if it's 5v5.
So
there's going to be less team entrants, all that.
So where is the talk of this coming from? Is that coming?
The talk of this is coming from the fact that Activision hasn't announced if it's 4v4 or 5v5.
But has this been a discussion in the past?
This has been a discussion. People think, or myself included, I think that there is benefits to 5v5 in terms of like. First of all, the game has to be designed well. There has to be clear-cut roles. Yeah. And if you look at like a game like Counter-Strike or something that is 5v5, the reason why it's successful is because the game itself is tailored to be 5v5. So looking at the beta and playing the beta, it's really hard for me to tell because all the tools aren't accessible if it can hold 5v5. So that's the main question to me, right?
So who and when will they make this decision?
What's up?
They have to make it soon.
They have to make it really soon. Like I would prefer them to make it right now. But the multiplayer reveal or the esports, not multiplayer, the esports reveal is on the 14th, so that's 2 days. I would assume that it's going to be during then. If it's not, a good point in the chat. Like I said, the maps and the game modes and the roles, everything has to be made for 5v5. Has there been a game in COD's past that's been made for 5v5 that it could work? I don't think so. No way. I don't think that any competitive Call of Duty in the past is accessible to or feasible to play 5v5. So, do I think it's a good idea? I mean, it depends on the game. It depends on how this multiplayer reveal goes.
So, what would it mean if it is announced that they're doing 5v5?
It would mean
what would it mean? Like, so try to think as the developer and the esports team. Why then decided to go in that direction? What would that say to you as not just the fan player, but like as the organization owner? What does that say to you? Does that say that they're trying to innovate? How would you assess that if they say
so? If it's 5v5 and you're an organization, you're thinking, all right, either we stick with this core 4 and get like a flex 5 that can play all different and like kind of try and save money, or you're like, I want to be the Warriors or Call of Duty and I want to buy a 5th player. So there's going to be a lot of bidding wars. There's going to be a lot of like players on teams like that get picked up on big orgs that you haven't really seen before, and it's because they're trying to pick up a fill-in, which I don't think is like a good idea either, right? You want that's the issue with like announcing it so late, right? I think that if the developers announced it earlier, that it would be a better idea than it is now, because you give the orgs such short notice, so you're going to see incomplete teams, and it's going to lead to roster changes, and it's going to be really hard to sustain itself. Hold on, Ghoster AW. I actually disagree with that for the fact that the maps may work, but the diversity and what you can do with your character is not there in those games. So it's going to be, you could fit 5 players on a map and you could play the game. But is it going to be more exciting to watch? I don't think so, because like there's no like different like abilities for characters. There is, but not enough to fit 5 people and make it interesting, to fit 5 different roles. I don't know. Ben said both sides have benefits, but 5-4 creates more contract issues due to top orgs wanting to better players and other orgs creating high buyouts. Yeah, that it does create a lot of issues, and the fact that it is so like late into the season, orgs aren't going to be willing to give up their players because they want a set roster to start their marketing budget going into this next year. So, like, it does make it hard. So that's the reason why people are going to jack up their buyout prices. They're like, no, we already announced these players on our team. That's the start of our marketing budget. We're not going to let somebody buy out our player for cheap when the game hasn't come out yet. So, there's already really high buyout prices for players, but it's going to be even higher if it comes 5v5. Oh, Johnny even just said that. Yeah, there's big buyouts already. So it's going to be even higher. So it's going to leave organizations that are the mid to low tier, or even high, even low high tier. It's going to be really hard because a lot of like low high tier organizations are just like they're at the point where they're like getting into like different games. So they're in Counter-Strike now, they're in like PUBG now that they weren't in before. So is their budget, sure they're in these games that are considered a tier 1, but is their budget big enough to pick up these like these players? It's probably not. So like you're gonna see like high tier orgs on the outside are getting screwed. Yeah, of course. I mean
What do you mean outside?
So high tier orgs that aren't in, if to get in, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult for like bigger orgs that aren't in to get in because they don't want to pay that price.
So will we see the current top teams then just become stronger and then isolated further from the rest of the pack?
That's what I think. I want to get this straight though, because it sounds like we're taking the 4v4 route. I do think that 5v5 is viable in the future, but not this close to release. I think that if they wanted to do it, it would be possible. I think for Black Ops 4 even it's possible, but they have to do it like either do it for next COD or like second season of Black Ops 4, like you put it out there that because there has been actual rumors, especially by Jacob Wolf, and ESPN that has been talking about potential franchising in Call of Duty and what that's going to look like. In my opinion, that's going to look like a game might not be coming out next year. So that's my speculation, right?
Yeah.
So if there is, we can speculate all we want. But my point is the fact that it's coming out this late makes it not viable. But I do, in terms of 5v5 in general, I think it can work, is my view on it.
So we'll find out in 2 days then?
Yeah, we'll find out in 2 days.
Interesting. Is that, so they're going to roll out the whole kind of plan for?
Yeah, they're going to roll out the whole plan. Like last year they did the national circuit. I think that they're going to do, or I'm hoping that they do what they did with that, but hopefully different changes.
And when's the first tournament of the?
It's CWL Vegas in December. I think December 11th.
December 11th.
Yeah.
Soon,
yeah. This is a short notice, right, for that, but what can you do? Like, there's nothing we can or anybody can do about it.
That's the thing, right? Publishers at the end of the day get to decide. So there's been a lot of roster changes too, though.
Yeah.
And that could even get crazier.
Could even get crazier. Roster mania is what we call that. Roster mania could get wild.
There's still a lot of incomplete teams at this point, right?
Yeah, there's teams looking for one, even looking for two if it becomes 5v5. So
yeah, that's what.
There's already teams looking for one, might be looking for two. That makes it even harder, right?
But is it so? If that is the case, it's a good time to be a player then, an unsigned player?
Yeah, of course. I think that if you're an unsigned amateur player and that happens 5v5, I think this is your best chance to become a pro player and play on these top tier 1 teams. I think like right now, like this year, if it happens, that should be your goal. You want to be on that pro team. You want to be that guy that fills that 5th spot. It's a very good opportunity for these, especially like younger players, people that have been around the scene for a long time. Like, this is as good as it gets. If you can't do it in 5v5, you might not be able to ever do it. Like,
Throw one shot.
Not throwing shots, or just
I said it's your one shot.
Yeah, it's your shot. Like, you might not ever get this again. So this might be the only time it changes roster size. So if that ever happens and you're a player watching this, I expect you to be on a team. That is all I have for this week. Thank you again to Drew for hopping on. I'm sure we'll have him again on some other time to talk. It was always fun.
It's a big time for games right now. We've got Season 2 for Tekken. Spider-Man just came out.
Of course. 2K.
Awesome. I haven't put enough time into it.
Shout out to everyone at the 2K League. That's always cool to watch, man.
2K's out now, 2K19. I think everyone can play now. Yeah. I know they had the 4-day early thing. I think everyone can play now. The LeBron James version was like 4 days extra.
Yeah, I actually went to GameStop when they were like promoting it. You were there too. It was right before Evo, and they were showing like Like they were advertising the new game and they had LeBron in a Cavs jersey like a couple days after he signed with the Lakers, and everybody was like taking pictures of him, like, what's going on? And I was like, oh my god, LeBron's in a freaking still in his Cavaliers jersey.
Season 2 of Tekken is, yeah, it's pretty.
I'm not gonna recreate that emote, but
pretty lit.
it's pretty lit. Yeah.
SCR this weekend again. It's gonna be the first tournament played. Well, not the first tournament. The first Tekken World Tour.
First Tekken World Tour on
played
season
on
2.
that season, and it's
You
gonna
see all the cool
be-
wall bounces
It's gonna
and
be crazy.
Lucky Chloe's OD.
Anything could happen.
Lars high. He's not
Anything-
gonna be there. Yeah,
anything
anything
could
can happen. We don't know what's gonna happen. Hunter-gasm.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check that out this weekend. Our good friends over at Level Up Live are obviously throwing that event. Alex Valle, Jimmy, and company. I think the Tekken part of that will be on twitch.tv/Tekken. The rest should be on...
I think since it's not a premiere, it'll probably be on Level Up Live or something like that.
Really?
Tekken,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's either going to be on twitch.tv/Tekken, Capcom Fighters for the Street Fighter, and then Level Up Live for the other games, I would guess.
Yep.
Will UYU be at SCR?
Drew and I will not be there, but we do have players there. We got all of our anime players. We got Kizzy, Cloud, Julian. And then for Street Fighter, we've
Oil
got...
King.
Yeah, Street Fighter, we've got Oil King. Brian F. will be there. So we do have...
I think Peeling might be coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibility. So, you know... Pele. Prince Lay. But, you know, we will have a presence there for sure. Street Fighter premiere event, trying to get those last minute points. So it should be interesting. Shall be interesting. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. It honestly means a lot to have this much activity in the chat. Love talking to you guys. I love answering questions.
What's up, Kami?
Nerds. What's up, Kami?
Kami, I saw you got that W on the dub on what's it?
Blackout? He still sucks.
Congrats to Oil King, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll
Well,
make
it's
sure.
not thank you for us, but I'm sure he's very.
We'll say
grateful.
thank you on his behalf because
Yeah.
he's not here.
So, Kami, I guess later we'll have to do another stream. Well, Hunter, we'll be doing another Blackout stream. Let's see.
Probably not tonight. Got some stuff to do tonight,
I
but in
know.
the next couple of days,
But
I'll be
let's-
back on Blackout.
Let's see those skills, Kami. Skills to pay the bills. But yeah, that's all for today, I think.
That's
right?
all for today.
Do you have any plans that you want to announce for like the next one, or?
Yeah. I don't have a set date for the next one just due to CEO Taku and some traveling coming up. But the VODs for this will be uploaded on YouTube. And stay tuned in to my Twitter because I will be announcing the next episode soon. As Jin Hee just said, don't forget Rev Major. Yes, Rev Major this weekend. Is it this weekend?
Is Rev Major this weekend?
Pretty sure it is.
We can pull that up.
Yeah.
I think it is actually.
Anyways, we'll talk about Rev Major. We got a good representation there. Kudan's UYU.
Yeah. So
That
Rev
is a
Major-
Tekken.
Rev Major is this weekend.
It is this weekend. Wow.
That's bad on us for not knowing.
That's on us.
So that's
lots of different events every
a
weekend.
challenger,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are going to that. You know who's not going to that though? It's the Echo Fox boys. They're going to SCR.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to Rev Major. Interesting. Interesting.
Mm.
Very interesting. Both are challengers.
So both are challengers. So that actually explains, why we see such a split in entrance. Actually, that's gonna be an awesome event.
We have Kudan's, John Ding,
UYU. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it should be a good turnout. That event last year, I remember, very good event. Always
Philippines has a very strong.
Always good scene. Like those are just really fun people. The tournament's really been growing every year, or since it's come
I
out.
think Spooky streamed it
I
last
hear-
year, so he
yeah.
probably will again this year.
Yeah. Our tournament Spooky may be there down there, or they might just be.
Spooky was
streaming
there
it. Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Hi, John Ding.
Hey, John Ding. Hi.
John Ding.
Good luck.
Good luck this weekend at Philippines Rev Major.
His emote.
Everyone go follow John Ding, by the way.
Yes.
If you want to follow any of our people, by the way, you can just easily find them on our Twitch team. Also, our stream team's on there as well.
Yeah.
But John Ding, of course,
hold on.
is already safe for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the schedule open too. So, one more last thing to touch
You can
on in
actually show them
Tekken.
this if you want.
Yeah.
If you click over to here.
What's this? The top one?
Yeah. I think so. Wait, no, sorry, this one.
Well, this.
Never mind.
Yeah. So on Tekken's Twitter a few days ago, they announced the online series. So the first one, American West, is gonna, and East and Latin America North. All the regions you can check out on Smash GG. There's online TWT points available.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really a good chance, like we were talking about, to be involved, get yourself out there.
That could really shake up the standings.
Yeah, you can even if you're not in the race, man, you could knock somebody out, man. That could be a chance to get you a big win, get your name on the map, at least. So I do recommend signing up to those. They are on Smash GG. I think it's SmashGG/TWT online. So that should be it for Tekken at least.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you want to look at the Street Fighter schedule real quick?
Sure. Type it in, please.
Yeah, sorry. So, also happening.
We're kind of getting towards the end of the year in both of these games.
There's a lot of events left, actually.
Got Tokyo Game Show.
Tokyo Game Show is a
in 10 days.
$90,000 prize pool.
That's a premiere. EGX, that same weekend in Birmingham.
It's also
that's a
that's their
premiere as
EU
well.
regional finals.
Yeah, that is.
So the question is, will some people be going over to EGX to maybe get some of those points? Because a lot of people are going to be going to TGS, not just because it's Asia, but because there's $90,000 on the line.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be quite the split there.
There's going to be a split between that and between EGX. We've got Never Give Up in Chile ranking.
Fighting Fest in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic.
All in September.
And then we got another CPT Online Asia. There's actually quite a bit. For premieres, you get the Asian Regional Finals at SEA Major, and then Canada Cup. And obviously, of course, shout out to Red Bull Conquest again. Their North American Regional Final is going to be a premiere event.
Oh, the regional finals for NA is going to be the Conquest Finals?
Yeah. It's the Conquest Finals.
It's going to be a great event then.
So everybody that qualified for there will be competing there for points. It is a premier event. So that's very important, actually.
That's in November, November 17th?
17th through the 18th.
And the Capcom Cup has not been announced yet. Usually, though, it's December.
PlayStation Experience sometime around there. But yeah, that's upcoming events. Like I said, thank you everybody for tuning in. The chat was active the whole time, which is very cool to see. I will be announcing the next ones very soon. It depends on events and stuff like that and different things we have coming up. But until then, the VODs for this will be uploaded on our channel, which you can find right there by Moobot. Just actually link there.
Thanks, Moobot.
UYU_GG. Yeah. Any last words there for you?
No, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where this goes and who else you have on. I know you have some cool guests planned.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll get some we'll definitely get some cool people in, not just from the FGC, but from obviously today we talked a lot about COD. All different sides of esports.
Thank you, Jasmine.
And gaming. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I look forward to having more too. But thank you for tuning in.
Send in any questions or feedback on Twitter.
Yeah, you can always DM me. I'd love to talk about if you have any suggestions. I'm always looking to make this a little bit better of an experience for you guys, and I'm really trying to produce more good content. So let me know if you have any feedback. It's greatly appreciated. You can just DM me.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
That's
we'll
it.
Be signing out.
Peace out.
All right, guys.
Peace.